Hi there, this is Matroda, and I wanted to share with you today my Invasion League Summoner. This build has a lot of emphasis on getting away with budget gear, making the most out of a smaller health pool. As you can see, I got 3250 right now, and really running a lot of Piety with increased item rarity and increased item quantity, and trying to build the amount of currency that we have in our stash tabs. Anyway, that being said, I'm going to jump right into the passive nodes. I will leave the link in the description so you can actually, view it on the Path of Exile site. But we start off and we go for the mana regeneration, and we stay up the left side. And I leveled this build as a summoner, so you're going to want to pick these up right away. I would ignore the cast speed for now. And then I grabbed the life, and I went up to the left side, and got these energy shield nodes. And I did not get Eldritch Battery until around level 55 when I could pick up Mind Over Matter, so I don't recommend just grabbing that right off the bat. What I did do is I saved a couple of points and I shot over this way. Now when you get into this area, what I would recommend doing is going for Minion Instability, because when you're fighting the unique bosses, they're going to kill a lot of your zombies. And when the zombies die, you want them to explode and do lots of damage, because that's going to be the strategy you use to kill some unique bosses. Anyway, so we grab Minion Instability, and then we kind of decide what we need from there. If we have good uniques, and we've gotten lucky with rare drops, we might be tanky. So we figure out we don't need health, so we'll just grab the minion nodes instead. If you are feeling a little bit less tanky, a little bit uncomfortable, go ahead and grab these health nodes. Either way, we stick around in this area and we get the important nodes, ignore the auras for right now, and then we shoot down here. Our goal is to try to make iron reflexes by about 40-45. And you can grab these nodes. These are 6% increased life, 8% maximum mana. Obviously, these nodes are a lot better than these on the left side here. We shoot down, and we're really going to want to grab this Minion's Leech 3% of damage is life. There's a total of, I believe, 4% life leech for minions in the passive tree, and it's really important to grab all of them. Anyway, let's see here. Then we're going to grab the mana and life regen. Life regen's good, it makes tanky. Shoot down, stick to the left side, and grab this 10% life node and these two 6s. Then grab Sentinel. Ignore these for right now. Shoot down, and we're at about level 40-45. We're going to grab Iron Reflexes and get all our evasion converted into armor. At this time, if you have reduced mana gem, and maybe you've been leveling Grace, we can pop Grace on, and that'll make us quite a bit more tanky. Also, these life nodes right here, even taking into consideration this 10 dex nodes, these have more life than this. These 4-8%. There's 34% total life in here. It's very efficient. So I would recommend grabbing these if you need life. Do not get Mind Over Matter yet. We're level 45. We probably can't get Mind Over Matter and Eldritch Battery and have enough mana regeneration and a big enough pool for it to really matter. So what I did is I picked up some minion nodes that I didn't grab the first time through, and then right around level 50-55. I put 2 points in here, and I took out a bunch of points for the minions. Now I'm going to put those back in there almost immediately, but I used some refunds, and I put those points in here, and then I refunded these, and put all the points that I took out back into here. Okay, it's about 12 refund points. In Cruel, I was able to do it without using any regrets. Anyway, also, grab Hexmaster. Curses Never Expire is great for unique bosses and Piety runs. It's not, you're not always killing them in 12 seconds. Sometimes it takes longer, and you don't want to have to get close enough to curse sometimes. When I was leveling, the unique bosses were a lot harder than they were when I actually got to Piety and got through the runs. Right now, there isn't a unique boss in Piety that gives me any problems. The biggest deal is the let me see. Oh, getting tanky enough to the point where Chaska isn't hitting you for half your health. That took a little bit of doing, but right now she's hitting me for about a third, which feels just fine. I do have block and everything, and some bleed flasks. Anyway, that's the build, and we kind of feel it out from there. You know, once you get around 60, if you feel like you need some cast speed, which I did, that's what I grabbed. I also felt like I could benefit a lot from this, 40% evasion. Now, what I'm thinking about doing is taking these points out and these cast speed nodes and going over into the last minion cluster over here and getting some minion chaos resist, getting one more zombie, and then perhaps grabbing the chaos resist right here for myself. But there's still a lot of nodes that I could grab. I mean, there's still life nodes down here. There's a lot of options inside this build. Also, when you're leveling, if you need resist, go ahead and shoot over here and grab these 20% elemental resistances. Anyway, and that's just about it for the passive tree. I'm not going to go into dual curses, the main reason being that I don't feel like I need Enfeeble for Piety, and I'm not using Anger and Wrath, so I'm not going to benefit from using Elemental Weakness and Flammability as much as I would if I went the other way. Anyway, I'm going to jump into my links, and I want to explain something right off the bat here. Path of Exile, they use some wording that helps you figure out how certain things work. And a big one is if we take a look at multi-strike. Now where it says 105% more melee attack speed, that is different than something that says 42% increased attack speed. Okay, so let's say you have 200% increased attack speed, and you add 50% increased attack speed to that, you are at 250. But if you have 200% increased attack speed, and you get 105% more attack speed, that's going to bring you up to, 410% attack speed. That's the way more works, okay? Increased adds to each other, and then more multiplies on top of that. The same thing goes for less damage. Less damage multiplies by a fraction, whereas, reduced damage, that is subtracted from itself, and then multiplied. Anyway, now I'd like to start by going through my spells that don't have anything to do with minions or auras. Desecrate, that's a big one. Basically, Desecrate puts corpses on the ground, and you can summon your zombies and your specters from those corpses. Okay, when you're fighting unique bosses, and the bosses are tearing through your zombies, toss a bunch of corpses underneath them, and just res more zombies from there. That's, a strategy while you're leveling to kill bosses fairly, safely. Also, you're going to want to level Desecrate when you're using it to summon specters, because the specters go off the level of the corpse, okay? So you're definitely going to want to make sure that you have that creates corpses up to at least your level, or the level of the zone that you're in, okay? Next, this is huge, Flesh Offering. This is absolutely amazing. It's so good. It increases the attack speed, cast speed, and movement speed of your minions while it's active. If I lay a Desecrate down and then use Flesh Offering, it's up for about 6 seconds, okay? And in that 6 seconds, it's very offensive and it's very defensive, because it allows the zombies to get to the ranged, the ranged mobs that are attacking them. And because they do more damage, they're leeching back more health. So they're actually healing themselves more because of it. Now, I would definitely couple this with increased duration. I ran it without for a while until I got my sockets figured out, but it's so much better with increased duration, and it's really usable throughout the entire run, Anyway, Flesh Offering, Desecrate, also Arctic Armor. Arctic Armor is big, but you're going to want to get your mana regen high enough to fully sustain it while you're running. You don't want your mana to be dropping while you're running, because we have Mind over Matter. So when we get hit, we want to make sure that our mana jumps right back up, no matter what's going on. Anyway, right now I'm at 270 mana regeneration per second, and that's without Discipline. Okay, now if you're not quite there, go ahead and think about using Discipline. I'll talk more about auras in a second here. For curses, I'm using Vulnerability because I'm doing not that much elemental damage. I'm actually, the only elemental damage I have is from Minion Instability, and half of what the Raging Spirits are doing. which they kind of work like Infernal Blow. So they're doing, they have a physical damage number, but then half of that is turned into fire damage. Anyway, for auras, I'm using Grace, which gives my minions some evasion, allows them to evade a few attacks. You could use Determination, but zombies don't have that much armor. They only have about 900 armor. Okay, so if you use Determination, you're only going to give them about 400 more. Or we can give them about 2,500 evasion. Okay? Haste is big. I just switched out Discipline for Haste, and I love it. I love the cast speed, like the attack speed that it gives my minions, and I also like the increased movement speed. And then, of course, Clarity. And level, every once in a while when you're leveling, you can't level Clarity anymore because it's really going to make your mana pool too small. But once you get higher up, you want that to be fully leveled. You want to take, fully benefit from that and make sure your mana regeneration is as high as it can be. And then we're going to step into the minions. Right now, I highly recommend a 2+ helm. It is so good for Raging Spirits and Zombies. For Spectres, not that great. But I'll explain a little bit more. Right now I have Zombies in here, and they're only level 18, but they're at 6,000 health. Okay, that's a pretty big deal. They have multi-strike, minion damage, and minion life linked to them. Now, in that helm, with all those support gems, my zombies are at about 4,600 DPS. If you ever want to take a look at the actual numbers of your zombies, your Raging Spirits, and your skeletons, Google Path of Exile Wiki, or PoE Wiki, and there's going to be a Gamepedia site on there that will show you how much damage your zombies are doing per level. They're going to show you the resistances, the armor, the life, and it also shows that for Raging Spirits and Skeletons. Spectres it does not, obviously, because the damage is based off of the body that you use to summon it. Anyway, each plus level of gem, so each level that the zombie gem goes up, it gains 10% base damage and life. So that's 10% no matter what. That's just a flat bonus, okay? So then comes into question, how good would Empower be? But this is a budget build, so I'm not really going to talk much about that. Raging Spirits is exactly the same. They gain 10% life, 10% damage per level of the Raging Spirits gem, okay? Right now, in my chess piece, I have Summon Raging Spirits, Multi-Strike, Increased Duration, and Minion Damage. This is the best damage build I've found so far. The increased duration is nice because it's almost like they do 60% more damage just because they're up 60% more of the time. The Raging Spirits also do about 4,600 DPS, and they have about 3,000 life without me having a minion life gem in there, which is okay because they only get hit by AoE attacks, because nothing targets them. They just kind of get caught in the crossfire. Anyway, let's see, what else was I going to cover here? Spectres, right now, because I don't have a 5-link, this is complete budget gear. So I only have a 4-link, and what I'm using in it is minion damage, remote mine, and faster attacks. Now, we have about, I think it's about 280% increased minion damage in this build. Remote mine increases that final number, or makes it more, by about 50%. Okay? So remote mine is absolutely great for upping the damage of your, whatever you're using. Let's see here. Race Spectre doesn't get big bonuses from +1 to gems. It's only about 1 or 2%. It's not the 10% that your other things are getting. And as far as, Race Spectre, what I really would like to do is get a 5-link and use the Evangelists with faster casting instead of faster attacks from over by Dominus, because they already AoE and they have a proximity shield, which would help in a lot of scenarios. But I haven't been able to get a 5-link yet, so. Anyway. And then finally for my links is Item Rarity, Arc, and Culling Strike. If you don't have all the sockets to do this, get rid of the Culling Strike, and just make sure everything else is set up. Excuse me, I'm gonna take a sip of water here. Now I want to talk about the gear. Let's start with the cornerstone or the uniques. Um, this is one of the best pieces of gear, and it's so cheap to get. It's I'm not even gonna try. The Auravorax or the Auravarax. I shouldn't have even tried. Anyway, 55% to all resistances. That opens up your build a lot. I mean, now you don't have to. You don't need to find that 150% in your other gear. You can search for things like mana regeneration, life, energy shield, mana. I mean, there's item rarity. It really opens up your build. Next, Orisi's Gauntlets. These are great because they just have a ton of rarity on them. And then I'm also using the Perandus Blazing Cloth Belt. Now, this is a great belt for leveling because it's got all attributes on it, which you're going to need because you use so many different styles of gems. As you can see, I mean, I have more blue gems than anything else, but there's also a lot of red and green in here. Also, your strength is going to need to be high because increased duration takes a lot of strength, and so does reduced mana. For boots, Goldworms. That's no brainer because they have a ton of mana regeneration, and they have item quantity. Now, these are low rolls. I was using them for the colors, pretty much. Finding colors for Goldworms is kind of hard. What you're really going to want to do is put your auras on your gold rims, put your Raging Spirits on your Orises, and put your Spectres on your 5-link, which I don't have a 5-link, but that's okay. For your chest piece and your shield, you're going to want to stack Energy Shield. I had to use Discipline for a while until I was able to get a chest piece with 500 plus energy shield and a shield with 135. Now obviously I could have gotten a shield with 250 and gotten a chest piece with 430. It's just it's getting to that point where you have a big enough pool. Like I have 500 usable mana, so if I get hit for 1500, it's going to use that mana, and I'm not going to take that 491 damage, and it's also going to skyrocket back up because I have a lot of mana regen. But you're going to want a decent sized pool to absorb damage using Mind Over Matter. Okay? So, get a ton of Energy Shield on your chest and your shield, and get rid of Discipline. Put something else in there. It doesn't have to be Haste, it can be, whatever you want to try. Anyway, for jewelry, we're looking for life, mana, yes, rarity find. I mean, that's pretty much it. Again, everything I just listed. Oh, except I'm not going to talk that much about corrupted gear, but this is a really nice. I was very high on cold resist, so I went ahead and vaulted this and ended up getting 6% of damage taken gained as mana when hit. So when I'm getting hit, it's taking away from my mana, but it's also giving me some back, which is kind of nice. There's some good synergy in there. And then again, necklace with 0 resist on it because I'm using Normax. So I mean, I can't stress enough how much this sword opens up your build to be able to, use whatever the heck you want. Now, I want to talk quick about something called snapshotting. Snapshotting is when I summon zombies, or specters, or skeletons, whatever it is. If I'm using this weapon, when I summon them, when I switch back, the zombies will still have 34% increased maximum life. Now, this means that my zombies can't be on my weapon slot. They've got to be, somewhere that I'm not switching, but that's okay. So what I do is, before I do a piety run, usually I don't lose zombies, but every once in a while I lose specters. So I will desecrate the ground and get a couple of tentacle miscreant bodies. And then, of course, I'll lay my remote mines, because they get 40% more damage. Press D, and I have 2 specters now. Now, those specters have the 34% increased maximum life. I switch back to sword and board, they still have that 34%. That's called snapshotting. Now, if I wanted to take a Silderbreath amulet and put that on before I summon zombies and specters, I could, but that's just a lot of work. That's like using remote mine and trap. You're going to get a lot more damage, but it's kind of a pain in the ass. I want things to be somewhat easy, somewhat smooth. And so that's why I don't use trap, and I don't switch out my necklace. Anyway, I think that pretty much covers what I wanted to get into. I'm going to start the piety run now. But there's one thing that I want to show you about Piety runs that's kind of cool. The door is always pointing this way. It's always pointing right at about 7:30 on the clock. What that means is that you can take the waypoint and you know which way you have to run to see if there's a door there. And once you see this well-lit area, that could be a Piety level 2. Once we find one that's very close to the waypoint, all we have to do is refresh this instance once every 8 minutes. So we really just want to get our runs down to about, 5-6 minutes. That way when we go back to town and we're getting ready to sell, we can just, come down here quick, refresh the instance, sell all our goodies, and then, start the run again and not have to look for Piety's level 3. Anyway, I actually usually time my runs. I disappear my mouse here for a second. Okay. Now, every time you go to a loading screen, you are going to have to put on Arctic Armor. Now, with this, Tentacle Miscreants will literally do 0 damage. That's Bone Offering, so everything's going to be hitting very fast. I should probably shut off my sound. Sorry. Yeah, I'm going to get rid of that for right now. Alright, Spine Crank isn't a problem. Yeah, you can see how fast things are moving with that Bone Offering up. I'll try to keep my... Sorry, I got a loud mechanical keyboard, so if I start pounding the keys, it gets a little bit loud. But Tentacle Miscreants literally hit me for 0. Yellow, blue, whether I'm cursed or not, doesn't matter. They hit me for 0. But they do, they can clear out your zombies. Right now my zombies have about 6,700 health when I'm snapshotting with that Chober Chabber. And if I run into blues, or if they get cursed with projectile weakness, which the guy that uses, the mobs that use the wands tend to use projectile weakness, then yeah, they can clear out a little bit, but most of the time, as long as they're getting to the target, they're keeping themselves alive. Right now, as far as unique bosses, we're not afraid of anything in here, as long as we have similar stats to mine, which is 3,300 health, about 6,000 armor, max resist, very important. With this build, I'm very high on fire resist, and there's quite a few bosses that use flammability, so it's good to be high on fire resist. And when you're running through you're going to want to cast your Curse first, and then Flesh Offering second, and then Raging Spirits third. Every once in a while I'll get a couple out, but Flesh Offering is one of the main reasons I don't use LMP. See, I want a lot of damage on Piety, because I want her to go down as fast as possible. Also, I want these guys to kill the first white that steps into me. That way I can Flesh Offer that right away, and I actually don't have to cast any Desecration. I'm not really skipping anything here, because I'm talking while I'm running, but... I will answer that guy, but I have, no video editing software, so whatever I do goes in the video, or I have to start over, so I will answer him in a bit. He probably is going to think I'm a giant dick. Anyway, when you get to this part, this is really important, alright? One way is a dead end. One way leads you to Piety. You see how there's 2 carts right here? This way's the dead end. Always. If there's 1 cart, that's the correct way, okay? And that's about the only trick I have for picking the right way. But as you can see, health isn't really moving, not really scared of anything. Now for potions, whoops, I do have two. These two healing potions are minion healing potions, and one of them's instant, which is really good. You're gonna want an instant heal. That way, when zombies run into a pack of tentacle miscreants, I can just pop those two instant heals off like right away, and then hit my number one, which is the regular heal. And then I just wait for charges to come back on that instant heal. And just pop those, don't even worry about it. I keep one potion for myself, which is, it's a big potion because it takes some from mana, but that's okay because we have tons of mana regeneration. And it also removes bleeding, which there's not really in here, but there's a lot of bosses that puncture. So using a potion that has removed bleeding on it is definitely needed. As far as other potions, or excuse me, flasks, I use a jade flask that removes curses. That way, if I do run into a vulnerability, guys, whoops, hello. Alright, he's messing me up a little bit. I didn't get the curse on him, that'll happen. He's kind of in a bad spot. Is he dead yet? Almost, there we go. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in here, get my zombie back up, or my specter. I'm also going to snapshot a few zombies, just for piety. And so far we're at about 6 minutes into the run. This run is going a little bit slower than I wanted to, just because I'm not really concentrating at all. Whoops. Gotta make sure I put bone offering, or flesh offering back up when you get your specters out. Now, because this run is taking longer than the 5 minutes that I kind of need to get it done in to make sure that my level 2 stays open, I am going to go back and I am going to reset the instance. Again, the only reason I'm doing this is so I can have level 3 be very close to the waypoint in Lunar's Temple. Now, we ran into one unique boss, which means there's absolutely no unique bosses in here. But if we didn't run into him, what I'm doing right now, I'm laying corpses. My zombies are going where I'm clicking. So, usually that tends to pull anything that's behind her. So that just allows you to check, so you're not fighting two bosses at once. Which isn't always a problem, but when you first start out in Piety, it's kind of hard. Anyway, so I get those down, and I start casting Raging Spirits to make sure I have enough when she's up. Then I use Bone Offering right away, keep casting Raging Spirits, and then get ready to call. And she's dead. Now, this isn't my first summoner. I've had 2 others on different leagues, and that's a pretty fast summoner kill. I haven't done it with since they introduced Flesh Offering and Bone Offering yet on my other characters, but I don't know, it's pretty quick, especially for having budget gear like this. None of my gems are not above level 18, so I mean, there's so much room for this to get easier. Anyway, that is pretty much the entire build. I think I said everything that I wanted to say. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment, and I will get to them as soon as I can. And also, I'm going to leave the full passive node build in the comments, and I'm also going to leave a link to my shop on Invasion. That way, if you want, you can leave me a post on the forums. If you bump my shop, I will definitely read it and probably get to your questions a little bit quicker. Or maybe not, I don't know. Anyway, but thank you very much for watching. Hopefully you liked the build. Hopefully you found some stuff in it that you can use. And definitely hit like if you liked it. Alright, you guys have a good one. Bye.